Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Tea Radio, where we interview awesome singer-songwriters and those who influence their lives. Spill the Tea Radio explores the journey, creativity, and inspiration behind the songs. With me today is Kat Bernardi. Kat is a multi-award-winning jazz vocalist, composer, arranger, and educator from Mississauga. Her crystalline voice and timeless style have led her jazz festivals around the world and was the 2019 TD Toronto Jazz Hotspot feature in the Downtown Markham Music Festival. Kat has enjoyed and recorded 2 EPs, Minor Ballad, Major Romance in 2014, and Let's Get Cozy in 2020. The EP's title track was one of the top 4 picks in Canadian Beats Weekly Beatdown and was featured on PopCan Radio's Top 24 Picks for New Music Tuesday. She's just released her new single and music video, Mona Lisa. So let's spill the tea with Kat Bernardi and find out what she's been up to. Welcome, Kat.
Hi, David. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's great to have you back here again because you are very, very busy. You're doing all kinds of things, which is great for me at Spill the Tea because it gives me more things to talk to you about. Since we had our last interview, what have you been up to? I know it wasn't that long ago, but you're so busy. What have you been doing?
Well, I am just coming off a high from the most recent show that I did at the Oakville Center for the Performing Arts. I had an awesome night there with my show. It was called Canzoni e Caffè, which means songs and coffee, and it was sort of a coffee house experience in a studio theater. There were a ton of people there. The venue was actually almost sold out that night. And I had an amazing 6-piece band, and we sang songs. I sang songs about coffee, and I sort of told some stories, and the whole show was themed around coffee. And the venue was super kind, and they kind of went with my crazy idea and actually served complimentary coffee to all of the patrons. And we had an amazing night.
Now you have an Italian background, so
Yes.
somewhere in there you must have had some espresso or cappuccino.
Every day.
There had to be
Every day.
There had to be some stories in the show about that.
Absolutely. So the story that I kind of told, I mean, I grew up drinking coffee, so it's kind of different, in Italian homes where, like, I know in a lot of non-Italian homes, coffee is something reserved for older people. But when you grow up in an Italian home, coffee is just sort of part of life, and you always have an espresso after a meal. And like my son is, 1.5, and he's already had coffee. So it's very much a cultural thing. But one of the stories I told in the show about coffee was that I learned very quickly when I was in Italy that you can only have certain types of coffee at certain times of day.
Yes,
and you have to follow those rules, right?
Yes, I heard that.
Yeah. So the rule is kind of like cafe all day, no problem. And cafe in Italy is espresso. It's not, an Americano, so when you order a coffee, you get usually like a single espresso. But yeah, I learned cappuccino afternoon. You cannot order it. Like, people will actually refuse to serve it to you. So you can only have cappuccino in the morning. Even a cafe latte is like pretty much a morning thing. But cafe is good all day.
Do you have espresso corto or espresso lungo?
I like lungo personally. Lungo. It's a little bit more like, it has a little bit more water content usually, so it lasts a little bit longer.
And the other thing that I worked with a number of Italian fellas, and they would never sip the espresso. They would, you stand there, you order it, you get it, you drink it like a shot, and then you move on. Was that just them, or is that like an Italian thing?
I think it depends. I know a lot of people do sort of take it back in one shot, but I think if you're sitting around the table, you'll probably have it in a few sips. But yeah, no, you're not sitting there nursing your coffee for an hour like the way that Canadians do it, right?
And I never.
You want to have it hot. You want to have it hot.
And I never ever put sugar in my espresso. So
okay.
I like it the way it was made. Yes, I'm a purist. when it comes to my
Okay, I can
coffee.
respect that. I can respect that. I do add sugar to mine. I'm not gonna lie, but just one. You don't
Only
overdo
one.
it.
No,
Only one.
I've been turned on to a quartet called the Vitamin String Quartet.
Oh,
And
yes, yes.
have you heard them?
Oh, they're fantastic.
So I found out about them. My daughter was going to a wedding and she said, this cool thing's going to happen, Daddy. The bride is going to come down the aisle with the Vitamin String Quartet playing the song Sweet But Psycho. And
Oh, I don't
and
know
that
that song.
and that was the bride's choice. Anyways,
Okay.
the song is all about this this young girl who is she's always sweet and she's very kind and everything, but she has that psycho side to her, which I
Good
understand
for her.
typically or describe the bride apparently. So she chose that song, and I thought, well, that was really kind of interesting because she's going to be coming down to the aisle to this string quartet playing this song, and I wonder how many people
Hmm.
are going to pick that out. So that brings me to jazz as well. If a string quartet can do these songs, will they become jazz standards as well?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? I mean, I think that's the really cool thing about jazz. Like it's so collaborative. It leaves so much room for interpretation. Um, so I mean, yeah, anything can become a standard. It just depends on how long it lasts.
Well, let's get into the latest song that you arranged. It's a classic with a new twist, as we found out. It's going to be released now today in time for Valentine's.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you are hearing it as an exclusive right here on Spill the Tea Radio. This song has been covered by some of the greatest vocalists of all time: Dinah Shore, Sam Cooke, Dean Martin, Glenn Frey, Nat King Cole, Rod Stewart, and now Kat Bernardi. So let's take a listen to singer-songwriter Kat Bernardi and her rendition and arrangement of I Love You for Sentimental Reasons.
I love you for sentimental reasons. I hope you do believe me. I'll give you my heart. I love you, and you alone were meant for me. Please give your loving heart to me and say we'll never part. I think of you every morning and dream of you every
That was Kat Bernardi and her rendition and arrangement of I Love You for Sentimental Reasons. Kat, that song is such a beautiful song, and releasing it in time for Valentine's Day is so spot on. Why that song? What special attachment do you have to that song that you thought, I have to release this in time for Valentine's Day?
Well, my relationship with that song is it's a long-term love affair. So my introduction to that song was through Natalie Cole's Unforgettable album, which
Right.
is
Yes.
such a
Yes.
beautiful album. And if anyone hasn't heard it, I mean, you've just got to hear it. It's so magical. And she sings, a rendition of I Love You for Sentimental Reasons on that album. And I always loved it. And then when I started gigging, I sort of included it in my repertoire. And I've been singing that song for years on gigs, in hotels and bars, at restaurants. And I always knew I wanted to record it, but I wanted to do something different with it, something soft, something romantic. And I actually remember on Valentine's Day, maybe going back 7 or 8 years ago, before my husband and I were married, he had left a bouquet of flowers for me on Valentine's Day. Because if any musicians are listening, or actually for non-musicians, this is something that you might be interested to know. Valentine's Day, musicians tend to get double and triple booked. It's a big day for us. So I've had days where I'm pretty sure this was on a 3-gig day, where I did one gig in the afternoon, I did one early evening gig, and then I did a late night gig on Valentine's Day. So I actually didn't get to see my partner on that day, but I got home after this long triple gig day, and he had left a bouquet of roses for me at my condo. And on the little card, it said, I love you for sentimental reasons.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Wow.
that kind of locked it in for me. I was like, okay, one day I've got to record this song. So fast forward to a little over a year ago, Thomas Francis and I decided that we were going to arrange this song, and he is definitely the lead arranger on this song. He's amazing with harmony. But I sort of said, okay, I want to do I Love You for Sentimental Reasons, but I want it to be a lot softer than how it's typically done. And I had a reference track. There's a song that Norah Jones does on I think it was on her debut album. It's called The Nearness of You, which is another standard. But I always loved the way that she did that song. It's just her and the piano. It's super intimate. And sort of, I talked to Thomas about it, and I said, I sort of want it to have a similar feeling to that track. And we shared our ideas, and then, he went away with it and sort of took the lead on arranging the harmony in that song. So, and we actually co-produced it at our home. We recorded it here at our home, and then John Foster did the mixing and mastering on it.
Is it the same process of writing your own song? I mean, other than the lyrics are there, is it like rewriting a song or writing your own song?
Yes and no. So for me, I love writing original songs, and you've featured one of my original songs before, and I've got lots of new releases that are coming up that I've written. But it's different because it's sort of like you're already working with a framework. So when you are writing a song, you're building the foundation, right? You're choosing, where all the drywall goes. You're choosing where the rooms are, how many stories the house is going to be, and eventually, you're painting the walls. You're choosing the colors. Whereas with an arrangement, the foundation's already there, right? So you can certainly knock down walls and build new ones, but there is a foundation that you need to work with. So it's cool, actually. It's a really neat process. You get to really use your imagination. But you kind of already have that framework in place, and from there you can add your own interpretation, your style, but that foundation's there already.
And finally, what's coming up for Kat Bernardi going forward from February the 10th? What have you got coming up?
So after this release, I've got I'm going to be doing a show at the West End Jazz Series in June, which I'm looking forward to. We don't have the exact date for that yet, but I will be playing in the West End Jazz Series in June. So I'm very excited about that. And I've also got a new release coming out in June. It's my song Muovermi. It's an original song, and I have been funded by the Mississauga Arts Council microgrant program for that song. So I'll have a brand new music video and single coming out in June.
We have been in conversation with Kat Bernardi. Kat, always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks so much, David.